I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast, a very special UP, because we are going to attempt to tell the story of the Jurgen Klopp era at Liverpool, but also a very special podcast, because we're welcoming back one of our longest serving members. It's Mr. Daniel Rhodes. Good evening, Rhodesy.
It's a joy to be back. It's a special podcast, so it's worth the effort. It's been a while.
You haven't lost all your spreadsheets, no?
I haven't seen any spreadsheets. Seen a few in the last week. This has been a little bit of a jinx podcast, hasn't it? We've had and terrible Wi-Fi. I think this is the fourth reschedule of this podcast in the last week. Yes. So the only spreadsheets you're seeing these days are very much business, money in, money out type of spreadsheets, aren't they? Your profit and loss accounts on account.
Yes. Anyway, welcome back, Rhodesy. Glad to have you on board.
Right.
And I've got Hamzah. Evening, Hamzah.
Evening, everyone. I'm no longer Van Dijk. I've missed a few matches.
Absolutely.
Deal with the noise at work, which took me out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know Joe Matip now, so. and we've got Mr. Simon Brundish. Good evening, Si. What are you doing with all your spare time? You're on mute, Si. The football season's over, Si. What are you doing with your spare time?
Nothing ever changes.
Football is never over. Plus, tennis, athlete, conferences, a research study on ID.
Have you got anybody in the European Championships? The athletics coming up.
Yeah, 2.
Oh, wow, Si. That's fascinating. You have to do another podcast on that. Yeah. Let us know who they are, and we'll look out for them. Anyway, we are here to talk about historic 8.5 years, and trying to do some justice to try and put the whole Jurgen era in the context with plenty of numbers, hopefully some nice stories, and also some retrospectives. But we're going to try and divide it into 3 broad periods, and the first one of those is going to be up to the end of the 2017 and Kiev, basically, in 2017-18 season. And so, Si, I'm going to come to you first on this, because we've been doing Under Pressure for a lot of the whole Klopp era, and it's fair to say that it was a pretty rocky start, pretty up and down first season, but we really did get out on a pretty steep upward trajectory very quickly under this manager.
Yeah, we did. Early on, well, the first block of games we had, like I think it was like the first 16 games we had. He was trying to find out who fits in the system. He had to start with. He had Hendo was injured, Studge is injured, and they're two big characters, big players in that team. Whatever you feel about Jordan Henderson, it became very divisive going forward. But the season before, he was pretty much our best player, and he'd just been run into the ground by Brendan over 2 seasons. So missing these guys was something he had to overcome. He was finding a place for Bobby, trying to shore up the one of the worst defenses in Liverpool history post. We had a blip under Roy Evans that was similar from a goals conceded perspective, but it was right up there with all-time poorest, most porous defenses.
Moreno, Mignolet, Toure,
Skirtle.
Yeah.
All lads, to be fair, if you just think about it, all lads who have a top 4 ceiling. At their best, they could perform like a top 4 player.
Yeah.
But they were incredibly erratic. Yeah. They could give you an 8, and Albie could look like an 8 of a tremendous left back, or Klein could look like a Rolls Royce of a right back, or Skirtle could look like a really dominant, like terror of a centre back.
Lovren.
You're
a 10 and a 1.
I hate Lovren. I hated Lovren, but Lovren actually was the second best defensive pairing that we had in our peak period. So, he was terrifying. But these lads, they had like a 1. They had a terrible flaw, and I think their overriding characteristic, the thing they had in common, was how erratic they could be, and we had that throughout the whole team at the time.
Well, we conceded 50 goals that season in his first year in the league.
And we were rotating all over the place. Not only all over the place, the number of players we were playing, they were changing positions every single week.
Well, and in the January that season, there was the mother of all injury crises as well, wasn't there, Si?
Because we went from 102 kilometres a game up to 122 kilometres a game average, and we nearly tripled the high intensity running. Let's put a caveat on this.
Was this the start of fatigue index?
The beginning of fatigue index, but this was the tracking data at this point was spotty, and erratic is one of our centre backs. So it's tough to use that data in the way that we could now, knowing that it's true for a start, and we were also looking at the wrong things at the time. But from a distance perspective, and then a training perspective, we'd gone from doing 1.5 to 2 times volume of a match day in that week of training volume, much lower intensity, and it was all with the ball, to 3.5 times playing match volume in the training week, and you play with your hair on fire. So we had lads dropping off a cliff with their hamstrings ripping from the bones, and it was a learning process for him. We got to learn him. He got to learn the league. It took him a little while, but it was bloody exciting in the first period, wasn't it?
There was lots of narratives about.
You could feel it was coming.
There was lots of narratives about he's ruined the team. He's training's too hard. I think his points per game was similar in his first 30 games to Rodgers and stuff. But we had the Europa League, and then we were playing kids for the last 5 games, and yeah,
there was one of the things I remember, Rhodesy, we talked about a lot was we had this really strange pattern we'd never seen before, with the ability to get very good results against the best teams and progressively worse results as we went down hierarchy of quality, like looking at Club ELO or Euro Club Index, and the lower we got down the ratings, the more we conceded and the worse our results got. It was quite a bizarre phenomenon, wasn't it, Rosie?
Yes, it was a great performance against Chelsea, against Man City, and then didn't we lose against Palace, against Bournemouth? Was it Bournemouth? I can't remember.
It was.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was... It's just a side outline with the players. It was just, we had players who could do 10 out of 10 and then 1 out of 10 the next week, and you didn't know why. And it was the transformation of getting players who had a level of consistency between 7 and 9 that got us to our best. But yeah, some of the players... remember that Stephen Colker signing? We had Lucas Leiva was coming to the end. Sacco was genuinely one of the best defenders I've ever seen in moments. And then you were just like, what are you doing? Firmino moved from like a flying fullback to his false 9 position.
He did literally play right back at one point.
Joe Gomez was coming in, John Flanagan. We had Christian Benteke. He was trying to... Klopp was going, I don't know how to use him, but we'll try. It was just a weird season, the end of that one.
Yeah. There was
an Emery in the final.
In the League Cup final.
Wasn't it Europa League final?
Europa League final, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Europa League final, yeah.
We did have some great games that season, though.
We got to the League Cup final as well in that first season, remember? We lost to Man City on pens.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the narrative. That was a loser because he couldn't win.
Champions League side. Fatigue index.
I'd completely forgotten about that, but it's so true. Just to add to the volume of injuries.
Hamzah, obviously I always reference how young you are compared to the rest of us, but you do remember the Klopp era.
He was 11.
Well, what do you remember about the very start?
I think you've hit on a few key points there. I remember the first feeling I had when Klopp was appointed was I felt immediately that we would win the league, because until that point, winning the league. No, I'm totally serious. I remember jumping up and down singing, "We're going to win the league." I think it must have been 18 at the time or something like that. And it was just a very sort of, in mentality terms at least, it felt like, and this is it will lead to a tactical point actually, it felt like people, as in rivals, other fans, had realised that there was a potential sea change moment, because that was when they all went, oh God, they're getting Klopp. They all realised that this would be something that would may tap into the sleeping giant sort of thing. And the reason I mention that comes as there's a tactical thing there, because in this season and then the next season, we see that problem with low blocks, right? It doesn't appear immediately, because at the start, most teams go, oh, Liverpool aren't that good, because the last time they were half decent was 13-14, and even then their defence wasn't very good. Anyone can play against Liverpool, we can attack, can probably score goals, blah, blah, blah. The same sort of thing that Manchester United are dealing with now. But as Liverpool improved incrementally, suddenly those teams a bit further down the league table went, oh, actually, we're playing Liverpool, we better shut up shop. And then that's when they started to sit back and not allow us to play pressing football or counter-pressing football. And we started to encounter those problems. But yeah, and I mean, you guys discussed this in depth back in 2015-16, but what
we did with all our Greece.
Oh, no, yeah, actually, yeah, that's a very good point, actually, yeah, we did. But the point I was specifically going to lead on to was how we see pressing and counter-pressing develop from this team? I mean, at the beginning, you've got players, and I mean, the prime example is Lana, who's running rather than pressing, or just. So I think the definition of pressing is to break out like of an organised formation to apply pressure, something like that. And our players would do that, but with no real regard about space behind them or how to sort of do that intelligently. So the ball is, an opponent has a ball, let's spring out, let's put pressure on them. And that would mean that, and at this point in the league as well, not many teams were particularly well versed with pressing or how to deal with pressing. Pochettino in Southampton sort of brought it along fairly early. Teams had seen it in Germany, counter-pressing as well, but they weren't really too sort of attuned to it. And at this point as well, remember, the profile of defenders is quite different to the type of defenders we have now. So you press those and clear it. But yeah, so it took a while for those teams to actually get used to pressing. So our inefficient pressing at the time would actually cause quite a few problems. But as teams improved and understood how to deal with that better, we began to struggle because we had players pressing like headless chickens. But like I said, right, over time you begin to see a refinement of just energy pressing, trying to impress the manager to go, no, I understand what the manager wants. He wants structured pressing. He wants me to actually force the ball into certain areas. We can trap the ball and then break, first pass forward, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you start seeing that in certain matches. I mean, when we get onto the following season, the first match of that season is a great example. The 4-3 over Arsenal, Sadio Mane's first game, where he just lights a season up. And he jumps on Klopp's back after scoring the third goal, I think, something like that. And then the defence falls apart. But yeah, you're starting to see the themes that will define this first period. Kind of wobbly defending, energetic pressing, the recruitment of forwards to complement each other. Firmino being made the centrepiece of this team, the guy around which everything ticks and follows. He is the pressing instrument, the dictator. And at this point as well, Coutinho is starting to develop into a really special player. Not quite, but we're starting to see the signs of what might happen. And it seems like it's fullbacks are attacking. The attacking is going to come from the midfield. And that changes. But yeah, there's a few different themes that we see here that set up the next couple of years.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senwa Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Wijnaldum comes.
Yeah. But before we just come to that, the summer signings aside, bringing it back to you on the first season. I mean, the league campaign was as Hamzah said, there was a 5-4 at Norwich in January, and it was a horrific defeat at Leicester. When they won the league, we got out the cup to West Ham. But there is the saving graces, as well as the going to Wembley against Man City, a very, very entertaining Europa League run.
Yeah, well, you can split the first season. No, we're not doing seasons, but you can split the first season into before and after the Europa League quarterfinal, when we decided that suddenly we're not going to try to play our better play. We had two teams at that point, didn't we? We started to run. Studge came back, and we were playing Studge to get back into some kind of fitness. And
even before that, there was I was going to mention the rather fun last 16 2-leg knockout against Man United, which we won. 2-0 at home, 1-1 at their place, with Coutinho scoring an amazing goal.
Oh, if we're going to go Europa League run, I think the catalyst to all that came was that Europa League run. The Barcelona night, I'm not sure it was more than the Dortmund game. And I would even suggest that the Man United game was even more fervent than the Dortmund one. But the Dortmund one was remarkable, and it was the first time I felt like that at least since the league run of almost getting there for Suarez. But I'm not even sure that's true. I think it was I think it might have been like 25 years since I remember the crowd like that insane. It felt special.
I'm so glad you've said it, because I think that's close to my favourite game in terms of importance, because I was there, and I wanted to know the United game when was, in terms of a momentum thing. I know we had the West Brom nonsense where we went to the Kop and it was 2-2 and then we got mocked and stuff. But that United match, the atmosphere in that was the best I've ever seen, and still is. I wasn't at the Barcelona game or any of those, but just the atmosphere was like, something's changing here.
Yeah. You had that beautiful chemistry of hope and expectation. Like, it's right at the precipice.
And then delivery.
Things.
And then delivery.
And anger.
Yeah.
Because United.
Yeah.
In
Europe, I think it was the first time we'd played them.
Oh yeah, in Europe, yeah.
In Europe it was, yeah. But then, and then it was really, really exciting in that game. Like, back and forward from each set of fans. It was so noisy, and we had some brilliant players on the pitch, but we also had some that we wondered if they might be brilliant players. Like, there were some fans, because we're still right in that weird, like, tribal situation that Liverpool fans get themselves into. I don't know if all clubs have it, but like, some love Lallana, some hated him. In the ground, it will be the same. You would have some that are like screaming at him for the whole game, and then some think he's fucking Pele. But we had it with like Emre as well, and Sacco and Klein, and we had loads of those lads. But for that one, it started with Dortmund, but then Man United game, it was everybody was behind everybody, and a whole bunch of those lads played insanely well. One lad who ended up being a legend in terms of what he provided and what he helped Klopp with was the most pilloried I've ever experienced a Liverpool footballer being in that game. James Milner. I can't express to you what it felt like in the Dortmund game for the crowd. Like, I've heard lots of Liverpool fans, the ones that are proper full-on huge Milner fans, the cognitive dissonance of this game, because I know they were at the ground. Lots of podcasts that love him. They were screaming every time he went to take a corner. And I think we had something like 15 corners in this game, and he hit the first man in every single one until we scored. until Lovren popped his head up, which was an unbelievable moment. But it was the most derision I've ever heard from.
Can I just say a name we're not going to repeat on this podcast, Rhodesy? Joe Allen. We're 3-1 down when Joe Allen gets brought on in that game, and he just brings a little bit of control. We start recycling better. We play in front of Coutinho, bangs in an absolute screamer from distance, and then 2 set pieces, boom. Joe Allen.
He was a key, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did play well in that news.
The Welsh savvy is what Brendan.
Welsh savvy, yeah.
What a prick he was. Can we just contextualize this period, this first beginning period where we start with this is the real transformation. This is the upward trajectory. So we had 129 games in this first period. When he arrived up until the 18-19 season, the moment where we brought our big boys in. We had 129 games in this period, and we'd gone from a 1.6 points per game team to a 1.84. We'd gone up 30% in goals scored. We've gone down 23% in goals conceded. We've gone up 39% in XG, and we've gone down 40% in XG against from the team Brendan left us with.
Yeah.
That's the evolution. That's the beginning. That's the upward trend.
Hamzah, just come to you on the. It was a pretty dismal first leg in Spain in the semi-final against Villarreal. We played a pretty terrible game, but an absolute riotous 3-0 romp in the home leg. Emre Can was particularly good, and there was. I always remember this is one of the highlights of Bobby Firmino's skill show reels we saw with his Cruyff turn, and I don't know, what did he follow up with it, like a rainbow flick or something past the defender on the edge of the box?
I think it was on Soldado, that one. It was more of a roulette, but it was just the other way round to which you usually do a roulette, so it looked very cool, and I think Soldado tried to swipe at him with his arm, or just tried to catch him. It looked very nice. But yeah, I remember that game because I think the Villarreal player scored an own goal early on.
He did. Cuadrado, I think, was it?
Soriano.
Soriano.
Then Sturridge scored second yellow for another Villarreal player, and then Lallana scored. But yeah. That
Sturridge goal was a beauty, wasn't it?
A real riot of a match. And this is an interesting thing as well, because another lesson, I guess, that was learned over this season and the following season is with Sturridge, right? Because Klopp sort of got to grips with very quickly with how talented he was. He's like, this guy's amazing. We've got to play to him. And Firmino's amazing too, so we'll play them together. Sturridge will be a sort of conventional striker. Doesn't need to. He'll press as he does. He's not an ultra high presser, but what he offers is really clinical work in the final third and sharp exchanges in build up and whatever. You go, okay, that's a really smart striker you can build around. But at the same time, he's also realizing this guy's fitness is not something that you can build a team around. So you see his unbelievable quality, and I think there's a match against Villa in 14-15 or 15-16 where I think we won 3-2. Sturridge scored twice, and he hadn't played for the previous 10 matches. You go, oh, he's appeared, he's quality, we've got to play around him. But yeah, this is just one of the things that Klopp is learning to. He eventually learns that he can't rely on Daniel Sturridge, which is a shame.
But also, this was Divock Origi's legit best part of his Liverpool career. He was in the team. His best ever game for Liverpool away in Dortmund with a 1-1. Scores a fantastic goal.
He scored. He was injured in the Everton match, right?
Yes,
that's right. The 4-0.
Who was that? The Italian? Was it that Italian thug? Yeah,
Funes Mori.
Funes Mori, yeah.
Argentinian prick.
Argentinian, yeah. Twat.
I was at that match because I think Sturridge scored a lob over Tim Howard as well. But no, right. You're entirely right. Origi is interesting because he was also in like a formative period, and who knows, perhaps without that injury, he would have developed into a slightly different player. Injuries often affect players in different ways. Some people, they come back the same, sometimes they don't, and it can affect their trajectory. But yeah, there was a really hot period here because early on in the season, and another stat that I'll come to later as well, but it's very rare that Liverpool actually lost 2 on the bounce.
That's right.
So I think the first time Liverpool actually lost 2 on the bounce in the league.
Lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when Liverpool lost 6
on the bounce.
Right. But until that point, Liverpool had not lost 2 in a row in the league, at least. However, that Villarreal match and then the Swansea match in the league were back-to-back defeats. But what you come to see as a theme throughout the Klopp tenure is that usually when Liverpool lose, they bounce back, and they bounce back quickly and quite hard. That Swansea match isn't quite that, But then that leaves the Villa out.
But that tells you something, doesn't it, about the mentality of the manager, that they can put a setback and they can put it in a box and then just not dwell on it and move on. Yeah,
absolutely.
Refocus.
And that, I think, the story of being able to bounce back from setbacks is probably one of the biggest things within this period, because you take the loss to Sevilla, for example, and I remember it was crushing, because in the final, it felt like in the second half, Liverpool had just really sort of lost the plot. It felt like, I remember feeling this. I may feel differently if I watched it back, but I don't plan to. It felt like the team had sort of given up, and that's not really anything you ever want to see from your team, especially in the final.
A goal will stick. Mm-hmm. Did he say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you take this match and you see what that leads into. You go to that Arsenal match start the following season. You go to losing the league to Manchester City and winning the Champions League, or losing the Champions League one season and winning it the following season. And you see this resilience that is so important to this team. And I think that's why Westside brought up a couple of those earlier matches this season, to sort of say these moments there, you can see that resilience, that hardening of spirit that comes not just from the players themselves, but the unity with the fans. And that helps form this quite special team.
Rosie, I mean, it was really hard to appraise that first season because, the two final defeats, we played a pretty good game against Man City at Wembley and, lose the penalty shootout. And then we were 1-0 up at half-time against Sevilla. And it's really hard to shake off the narratives at the time about Klopp just losing finals, wasn't it? It was huge at the time. Everybody in the media was always talking about Klopp's record in finals.
And it carried on. He lost finals with Dortmund as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
He lost 6 in a row, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I think that second half was poor. I think it was poor from probably. I think Klopp would admit that, wouldn't they?
We just got out-tacticked, didn't we, when we did it?
Yeah.
They made changes and they took control and we didn't react tactically.
Yeah, and we absolutely didn't react.
And despite one of the greatest goals ever seen in a European final.
Sturridge's goal.
Outside of the boot, outside the box.
But and it's hard to analyse, because if you go through the finals, you can talk about all sorts. You can talk about like Ramos.
We won the XG in all but one final.
There you go. So there's the randomness. There's the events that happen, individual events that happen. I think I think there was a League Cup final against Chelsea in 2021 where I thought we were out-tacticked a bit and conceded like 3 big chances and a half. That second half against Sevilla. But otherwise, it's hard to say it was anything that Klopp did in the final. So I think it's kind of a false narrative. But if you keep losing, then it's hard to argue with.
Si, you were there. I think you were there with Gags, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. It was really exciting. It was part of a great trip. The travel to that final, it really felt like, amongst the fans that were collected in the square before the game and the pyro going off in the daytime, something was coming. It's what it felt like. This is new. This is the beginning for us. There were like a bunch of young fans and dads that had brought their kids with them. It really felt like this is us now. We can be Liverpool again, and we really had the chance to get our feet back under the top table, because we hadn't been at the top table. Even the little dance we had with the league with Brendan, even the Champions League win with Rafa, we weren't dancing at the top table. We were sneaking in.
Yep.
And it really felt like this is a chance to get back.
Yep.
I don't know why it felt like that, but it was unique. It was different. It was part of the magic of Klopp, I presume. We recruited a manager who was sought after by he was objectively one of the 5 best managers in the world.
Getting that team, that squad, to 2 finals That was a hell of a job, really, wasn't it?
Given that, the thing we talked about right at the beginning, how shit we'd seen some of our players play.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.